This is the Great Depression interview with Mildred Roxborough, Part 3. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Scene 2, take 7, sound roll 3, camera roll 5.
Okay, so beginning with after your father left, what happened? Briefly, just what happened to the organization, and then over.
That Christmas Eve night, or Christmas morning, after my father left, marked the further decline of the branch because of the NAACP branch, because of the pressures which were increasingly being subjected to the people, and left without him as a key leader. They did not have as much of the energy and the willingness and enthusiasm to subject themselves to the pressures which were becoming almost unremitting. They met a few times, the branch did, after he left, although the bulk of the membership dwindled away. So that you had the officers and a few of the members who would come together in homes and meet as they were increasingly pressured about these activities. Finally, as the pressure continued, the visits to homes increased markedly. Each one was known, so they were intimidated by people coming to the homes, knocking on the doors, and making threats, yelling threats, if they even if they did not come in, telling them what was in store for them, and denying them credit, doing all of those things, which were combined, becoming almost intolerable. Eventually, I don't remember.
We have to cut because of the sound.
I cut.
He's got that.
Scene 2, take 8, sound roll 3, camera roll 5.
Okay, it's quiet. Okay. So we can begin with after your father.
After my father left that Christmas Eve, the membership of the branch dwindled and the meetings dwindled in numbers until a few months later, after a number of visits at night to the members' homes.
I want you to go in the comments and describe what were your Christmases like growing up, as well as your other holidays.
One of the officers, he happened to be the treasurer of the branch, Albert Williams, his home was visited, and he was taken from his home in his pajamas, and by a group of men in a car. He was shot and thrown in the river, the Hatchie River. His body was found a day later floating in the river, having been riddled with gunshot. And following this particularly difficult and terrible crime, the branch became dormant. It did not, the people did not continue to meet, and it remained so for a long period of time. Some of the key members left the town and went elsewhere to live, such as Elisha Davis and Reverend Buster Walker went to other places to live. They were key people with my father in the branch originally, in addition to Albert Williams, who was murdered. And the branch did not become active again until the late 50s.
Great, thank you. Okay, I want to quickly move on to something that's completely unrelated,
Okay.
which is, do you remember Joe Lewis at that time? In that time, and was there any? So, did anybody in your household pay attention to the fact that there was this boxer out there by Joe Lewis? What do you remember?
Oh yes, as a couple of things I remember as a child, and that is The Shadow, which was a radio program, and on radio, and listening to the fights of Joe Lewis broadcast on radio, an old model radio. I would sit on the floor, and there was much excitement when Joe Louis fought. And when I was a child, whenever he had a fight, it was a time when people would gather together. Everybody did not have radios. So we would gather where there was a radio. In our living room, it was usually crowded because we had a radio, and we would listen to Joe Louis and root for him and just say, beat him, beat him, beat him. We know he'll do it. And he's the greatest. Yes.
Do you remember when he lost, the night that he lost? Do you have any recollection of that? When he lost to Max Schmeling, he was supposed to win.
Yes.
Do you remember that at all?
Yes, it was a sad occasion.
Tell me in the comments, what was your favorite Joe Louis battle?
It was very sad. And you thought the world had come to an end. And for him to have lost to a German, that was just awful. They thought they were superior anyhow. This, I'm telling you, voicing what we felt. It was a personal hurt and an affront that a German would come and beat the great invincible Joe Louis. It hurt. You just, people literally cried.
So do you remember then, when 2 years later, when he beat the German again? Do you remember that?
Yes, I was in Kansas City then. Yes, I
What
remember
was
that.
the feeling you
Oh, there was much joy. The world was bright again, and Louis was on top, and the Brown Bomber, as he was called, and by which he was known at that time anyhow, reigned supremely, and we knew that he would do it.
Great. Okay, can we cut now? Cut for a second? I just want to know a couple of things I want to ask you. Did you have a Model T? Was there a... We'll do the thing about the house first.
Scene 2, take 9, sound. Take 9, sound roll 3, camera roll 5.
So, can you remember how you felt as a young child at that time when you saw that your house was, that your house was burned down and that your father might be in it?
Well, it was a terrible feeling. My stomach felt empty. I never felt like that before in my life. And I said, everything I had is in that house. My favorite toys, my tricycle, my father.
Tell me about some destructive times that you've overcame in your life.
My rabbits are gone. My world just crumbled. And I said, my father, if we can't find my father, I can't live. I was a father's daughter. I was fond of my father. And I have never felt since quite that same way, because all of those emotions, and my stomach simply just felt as if it had disappeared from my body and there was nothing but a void in me. That's about as descriptive as I can.
That's pretty damn descriptive, I'd say.
And as the smoke rose from the chimneys, because there was still smoke, I was wondering if my father were there.
Okay, if you can just do that little short bit about that you were 9 years old when you started Saw the Crisis. It was 1936, so it was the next year.
My parents read the Crisis magazine before our branch was organized, and we were avid readers, and they had
Okay, wait a second.
us
Just
read.
simply,
All right,
I just need the
all right.
declarative connective.
Oh, you don't need
sentence.
anything. Okay.
No
You
details,
don't need
just-
to know what the magazine is.
No.
All right. I think it was 1936 when I started selling the Crisis magazine. I was about not quite 9, 8.5 years old, and following my great venture selling the Crisis magazine, the branch, the NAACP branch, was formally chartered.
Let me know in the comments, at what age did you start your first job?
In 1937, which began the branch activity officially.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Where are we with filming?
And sound roll 3, camera roll 5.
When my family relatives drove up to the house, or at least where there had been a house, it was one of the worst periods in my life, worst times in my life. I felt as if my stomach had simply just dropped out of my body. There was a void there. There was nothing. And I could only think this was my home. What has happened? My toys, my tricycle, my rabbits, my beloved rabbits that my father was taking care of, and most of all, my father who was there yesterday, and where is he? And I looked at the 2 chimneys standing and the smoke rising nearby the chimneys, and I wondered if my father were there.
Great. That's great. Okay.
You have to admit we've learned quite a lot from Mildred Roxborough. Please tell me your thoughts about what you just heard, and also I hope to learn a little bit more about you from the gemstones I left in the video. Feel free to talk about things that I didn't ask about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.